Hey guys, today I've got something on my mind that I want to talk a little bit about, and that subject is pride. And pride is a funny thing in the Bible. It's something that's mentioned quite a bit in the Old Testament. It's not mentioned very often in the New Testament, surprisingly. It only appears about 3 different times. And then if you really look more closely, each time it appears in the New Testament, it's a completely different Greek word being translated into pride. So it's something that, if you're looking for a lot of reference as far as, what kind of pride is bad and what kind of pride is good, or if any kind of pride is good, it's really hard to find in the New Testament. You can't make a solid case for or against this thing called pride. But we know that at least some kind of pride is a sin. And if we really study the Old Testament passages pertaining to pride, it sure sounds like in some cases pride is kind of being extolled as something of a good thing. So, which is it? Is pride a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Is it a sin? Is it a virtue? Is it something that's, circumstantial? It's good some of the time and not others? And that's the question that I kind of want to address today. I want to give you my interpretation, my understanding of what kind of pride it is in the Bible that's condemned versus what kind of pride is acceptable. And, to kind of transition into this conversation a little bit, there's a couple of English words that I like to use and differentiate between, personally especially, because it kind of hits close to home. And those words are arrogant and cocky. And, what do those mean and what's the difference between them? Well, I consider an arrogant person a person who thinks too highly of themselves. They think they're way up here when in reality they're maybe only about here. And they get themselves into trouble because they say, yeah, I can do it. And then when they show up, they can't. Okay, so that's arrogance. And you can see right away that's a problem. But then there's cocky. And I think cocky is a little bit different. Cocky is when you think you're up here because you really are. You think you're the best because you've seen what everyone else can do and you can do it better. Okay? That's not arrogance, that's cockiness. And, when you look at pride, I believe there's what we consider pride and what we understand as pride. But then in the Bible, when it talks about a certain kind of pride that's condemned, I think it's talking about something a little bit different. And I think these two forms of pride are related the same way that cockiness and arrogance are related. So let's talk about, first of all, the kind of pride that you and I have every day in our lives. And I don't consider this to be a problem biblically. Study it out, see if you do. But when you just graduated with your MBA, you know what? You feel a little bit proud. You've accomplished something. You set out a long-term goal and you invested your time and money and you made it happen. And you feel good about what you've done. That's a good kind of pride. Your kids, win a trophy or something like that, or win the talent contest, whatever. And you're proud of your children because they're yours and you raised them and you taught them. And now, you've seen them excel in life and you've seen them accomplish something that was important to them. And you feel pride as a parent. Guess what? That's a very healthy kind of pride. That's a good thing. So when you have pride and you feel good about the things that you've done, I think that's great, biblically speaking. But the kind of pride that's condemned in the Bible is when you feel good because you think you've done the things that your God has done. Okay? That's a different kind of pride. And you see, that's not kind of like cocky pride. That's kind of like arrogant pride. Now, you're not proud of what you've done. Now you're proud because you think you've done this, when in reality, you've really only done this. And the difference is, you're now taking credit in your heart for the blessings from above. So what happens, and why is this a sin, and why is this a problem? Well, this is something that happens to us once we've been living for Yahweh for a little while, once we've been in the way, once we've been living Torah. He blesses us. He takes care of us. Things go well with us. What we touch, it turns to gold, and we see that, and it's awesome. And we read about this time and time again in the Bible, in our Old Testament. We see this example. Israel is blessed. Israel starts thinking, you know what? We're blessed because we're so great. And everything you see around us, that's the fruit of our labor. That's what we've done with our hands. And when we get into that mindset, then we start thinking, I've done this, so there is no God. I don't need any God. And we start living accordingly. We start living like there is no God, which means we start breaking His commandments, which means He knocks us right back into place. And all those things that we think we built and we think we did, all of a sudden He strips those things away, and we realize, guess what? We're powerless. Without His blessing and without His providence, all of our efforts don't amount to a whole lot if we're His people living outside of His will. That doesn't work for Him, and obviously it's not going to go well with us. So that's the difference between healthy pride, the kind of pride that we feel every day, versus sinful pride. When I feel good about the things I've done, that's great. But I better be clear that there's a difference between what I've done and what He's done. When I start feeling good because I think I'm responsible for the things that He's done, when my heart starts swelling up like that, oh baby, that's when I'm getting myself into trouble. Because the next step is I'm going to be living like there is no God. So, when things are going your way, when you're blessed, remember that you're blessed. Whenever things go well with me at work, you know what? Yes, I do a good job. Yes, I know what I'm doing. I'm a competent laborer. I'm adept at what I put my hand to. But that being said, the fact that I have students that come to me for education from all over the world, you know what? That's not me working. That's not me making that happen. That's a blessing. There are a lot of other instructors out there online who teach this subject and that don't get the same response I get from the student market. Why is that? Well, that's not because I'm so great. That's not because I put together such a good course. I'm sure maybe that has something to do with it. But I also realize very clearly that I've been blessed, and those blessings can be taken away. I'm happy to say, yes, there are some things I can do well. There are some things I'm better at than most. But I also know that without the providence and the blessing of my God above me, you know what? Those things wouldn't bear the fruit that they do. My life wouldn't be as good as it is. I wouldn't have the wife I have. I wouldn't live in the place I live. I would not be enjoying the existence that I do without the providence of my God. So, however proud I am of my own accomplishments, however happy and content I am with the good things that I have in life, I don't forget my God. I don't stray into disobedience. And my first and only obligation in this life is to keep his commandments. No matter how good I feel, no matter how cocky I get when I look at my beautiful face in the mirror in the morning, I don't let my heart swell up in pride and rebellion against my God. So that's it. That's the difference between healthy pride and sinful pride, at least as I understand it.